I've been creating some interesting effects in Affinity Photo, and I thought let's try the same in Photoshop. I'm using version 224 and I'm using 32-bit mode. So let's just go and create a document, File and New. Now I probably won't be able to create exactly the same image again, but let's just go with this and create. Now you notice I've accidentally gone with 8-bit. I just go by default with that. If you want to change an 8-bit, simply go to Image, Mode, and go down here to 32 bits channel. That's RGB, so just go there. Now, once you've done that, I'm just going to use a gradient. This is what I did in Affinity Photo. Just use a gradient, very basic gradient. And you could use anything, nice colourful one. You know, just something with a number of stops. And I'm using classic gradient and linear and blend mode difference and perceptual. So just apply it a couple of times. And you can see very quickly you can create some really interesting, colourful designs, something like that. Just a couple of applies, backwards and forwards. I think that's a pretty impressive looking background if you want a nice colourful background. Well, once you've done that, and I'm just going to let's zoom in a bit. Now, I don't find the Emboss tool as flexible in Photoshop. And another thing you'll find that many of the various options of features are just not available, all the filters. So go to Filter, and you'll notice I've used Emboss, Gaussian Blur and Wave. So let's just go for Gaussian Blur, and that's a key thing. So Blur and Gaussian Blur, just blur it slightly so you don't have a very sharp image to start with. So you've got something like that. Click OK. Once you've done that, now you can go and distort it if you want. You always go to Filter and you can use Wave, and I think that creates some interesting design. So Distort and Wave. And I always love to go with number of generators 1. I wish it wouldn't default to 5. It does, unfortunately, that's the default. And you can also go for wraparound, all those settings, just maybe wavelength, just subtle changes to create some sort of like dot designs like that. I think nice circular designs. And that's using sine. So around 625, 664. And also wavelength, you can vary that. You can see, just change that for 386, 760. And click OK. And you've got something like that. And again, you can, if you want it slightly blurred again, just maybe go Gaussian blur again, just slight blur, maybe not so much. Right, now use Emboss. You don't have to go for all this. You could use any image. I'm just happen to be using a gradient. I like gradients. Then go to Filter, and then go down here. And you've got all these options. You've got renders, you've got stylize. And you'll notice that one of the things that's weird, lots of the features are just not available in 32-bit. I find baffling. Affinity Photo actually has all of its filters available. For some weird reason, extrude and things makes no sense to me why they're not available. But Emboss. And you can see with Emboss, you've got an option here for the amount. Also, one thing you can do on the Affinity Photo, which you can't do here, is interactively drag them backwards and forwards. Why not? 2024, that should be really there. But you can change the angle, so you can see you move that around, and you can change the height. And you can just move that like that. So you can push the height up to the maximum, seems to be here. I don't know, I think it is the maximum. Oh no, it's 100 is the maximum. That's it. Can't push it any further. You can create some very interesting, colourful designs very quickly. Click OK. Again, in Affinity Photo, the next thing I did, and that's slightly different here. You've got Layer in Affinity. Well, here you've got Edit and Fade Emboss. And there, I'm just going to go for, and again, another thing that's really odd, lots of these things are not soft light. All these things are available normally, but of course, lots of them are not. I don't know why. Would be nice, but however, let's go for difference. And difference is a really nice one. That creates all these lovely sort of structures to it. And click OK. And you can fade it if you want. So if you don't want it full on, you could maybe go like that. But I'm just going to go full on, 100% and difference. So click OK. Now you can do exactly the same if you want. Go to Filter, but I'd say like go for blur again, just a little bit. You don't want to push too much. So just blur it, say 5.6, because you don't want to lose that sort of structure you've just created. So click OK. Once you've done that, you again go down here and you can distort it maybe a bit more. Use Wave again, just Wave, and you can see then That was just using the last effect. You might not want to use that, so you can go to Filter, Gain, Distort and Wave. And you can see within there, you've got number of generators, again 1. Exactly the same settings as before, 3, 8, 6, etc. One thing is if you go in it again, you can actually just click randomise. Now I like this feature. This is one feature that you can't use in Infinity Photo. There is no wave feature, which is weird because I think this is one of my favourite tools in Photoshop in terms of obviously filters. And you can see you can randomise it. Unfortunately, there's no undo. So it would be nice if you get on something, you can't go back to what it was. But again, click OK. And you can see you've got that. Well, filter. You can go down here again and stylize. And you can actually weirdly use oil paint. Now, oil paint's one of those ones that's sort of like, I think it's a really nice one. So oil paint, let's just go in oil paint. And you've got stylization. I'm just going for low values. Just creates a nice little smeariness to it. Click OK. And you can play it a couple of times. But also now you can go to Filter and again stylize Emboss. So Emboss, and now within that you can see you've got this really sort of jewel-like, weird sort of crystal. I don't know, it's just a very extreme colour design. And again you can modify this. Now I think it doesn't look so nice if you push it to the max. If you go to amount like 300, 400, what's the max? 500. Looks horrible, I think. You just want to push it a little bit, maybe go for 183. And then height, 100. And the angle, I'm going for 79. You can, of course, vary the angle. Just try it. I don't think it really adds anything particularly. You can see slight changes. Click OK. Exactly the same as before. You can go to Edit, go down to Fade Emboss, and go here, and again, go with Difference. And this time you can see this image is even more extreme. Now you can push it too far. I think if you go further than this, it really becomes like noise. But at this point, I think this really creates a very intense, like to me, a sort of solar, like the surface of the sun. Obviously, if the sun was all rainbow colours, of course. But you can, of course, always with this, you don't have to go with just this. You can always, of course, go to Layer or Image, Adjustments. You could use any of the adjustments. Well, obviously the ones that are available. But you can go for Hue and Saturation. And you can always colorise. And you can see then when you colorise, you have got something like the colour of the sun. You can go there. Let's just go for the yellows, saturation, backwards and forwards, just to try and... Now, you might like to go back before you do any work like that to recolour it. You might like to go back to 8-bit if you want to save it. Obviously, you can save it here, File, Save As, save it as a Photoshop document. But if you want to save it, say, to create images for the web or something, you have to, of course, go back to 8-bit. So Image, and you've got here Mode, and you can go back to 8 bits. So you can go there, and then you get this. This is one feature that, for some weird reasons, not available in Infinity Photo. Would be nice, but it does give you a whole range of lovely features to manipulate the colour and click OK. And I think that comes out a really beautiful jewel-like design. But unfortunately, it's not like a sudden surface. Again, image, adjustment. Now you've got the full range of things. You can go here, hue and saturation, and you can see colorize, and you can just try and go for something that creates something that's really sort of maybe more like the sun surface. Try and get a yellow or whatever. Maybe a blue sun as well. Whole range of possibilities for the colour are available. Of course, maybe use image adjustments and go for a colour lookup. That's always quite a nice one. Or just use photo filter. I always love using that one. So that is a run through of how to create some really extreme effects using 32 bits. 32 bits is a great feature that you can use with loads of things like Emboss, oil paint, as well as some of the wave, etc. If you've got any comments, questions, please let me know in the comments below. Always great to hear from you. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Always adding new tutorials about Photoshop. Also, of course, Infinity Photo, Designer, Rebel, and many other applications as well. Bye.